Good morning, superstars. How are you doing? Uh, yeah, it's been a while since we've seen each other, since last week. Feels like 2 weeks ago. Again, John Victor, you are the first person to come to class. You've been keeping what they call it like this now. I like that. I think I kind of understand the whole thing about the attendance, but no problem. We are going to discuss that towards the end of the class. Welcome again to class, everyone. I hope your weekend was good. I hope you guys also read because I gave assignments and I'm yet to see what they call it. I'm yet to see anybody answer my assignment. You guys only did the test. I think I saw around like 50 something people from morning and evening court to do the test, but I didn't see anybody do the assignment. So yeah, please let's okay. So please, I want you to confirm that you can. I'm getting a notification here. I want you to confirm that you can see and that you can hear me, please. John Victor, good morning. Again, like I said, first in class. Hopefully, you are the first in jam. I pray you get. So 400 over 400 is what I'm expecting from you. Temitayo Davis, good morning. Honor Pans, good morning. Fayo, good morning. Messi Yakubu, welcome to class. Uthmon Kolade, okay, I don't get it, man. Thank you very much. John Victor, I appreciate it also. So, yeah, now let's continue. So for others, to you guys too, you guys are going to get more than this. So we start. I will look at this. I'm not going to waste time. Once we start class, we get into business. So we've been able to discuss many things. In the previous class, we talked about the excretion. We saw a couple of things concerning that. And we saw that for unicellular organisms to multicellular organisms, it is very different. And then we also talked about reproduction also, and yeah, where we ended it at, you know, we saw how sorry, last class we majorly talked about reproduction, by the way. So we talked about reproduction in unicellular organism, where we talked about four types of reproduction. We saw, is it five? Okay, yeah. The first one is binary fission, the second one budding, the third one is vegetative propagation, the fourth one we talked about fragmentation, and we also talked about conjugation also. So we've been able to make mention, sorry, four rather, there's no conjugation inside. So we talked about this type of set of reproduction in this case here, and we were able to establish that for unicellular organisms or and simple multicellular organisms, they undergo this. Except maybe we are not talking about plants where we take vegetative parts of it, which we talked about, types of vegetative propagation. If you guys remember it very well, we talked about that also. When we see it in plants, that we can have natural vegetative propagation, and then we can also have the artificial ones. Where I told you guys that lemons, life did not give us lemons. You get, you say when life gives you lemons, you make lemonade. It's a lie. Life did not give us lemons. We gave lemons life. You understand? So I explained the whole process by that. We talked about the reasons for reproduction, where I said most of you ladies here, when they say talk about the type your type of guy, you understand, you tend to, the guy you say you want a guy that's 6 foot tall, that's this, that. Why is that so? It's because desirable qualities are needed to be transported, you understand, transferred from one generation to another generation. So we talked about that under reproduction. So for this topic, okay, I'm seeing I'm seeing people joining. Especially obviously you came late. You're 3 minutes or 4 minutes late. Welcome to class, though. Faith Moni, good morning. Welcome. And Dushima Tori, welcome to class. Again, I said you guys should go and attempt that assignment, please. If you can do it, you can just like convert it into Word document and send it. You can attach, it's very possible. You can attach your documents to it, or you can just answer it, probably snap it and then send it as an image to it. I will go through your assignment. You understand? If there's any one I can make corrections on, I will. Also, you can also follow it so that whenever I drop these questions, it will just show on your email. Just go to the Padlet, you follow the Padlet there, and then when I drop questions on it, or I drop maybe like a revision on it, I send it to the place. You get what they call it. You get an info of it. So now we are going to continue. Coordination and control is what we are seeing this morning. Divine Furo. I want to believe that's how they pronounce your name. If that's not it, please, I apologize for murdering your name. So, good morning once again. So, we start coordination and control. So, what do we want to see in coordination and control? When you hear coordination and control, for every organism, they have a part in their body that does that for their body. For unicellular organisms, they have their nucleus that controls the DNA material and the movement of the cell. You understand? But for multicellular organisms with lots of cells that have lots of nucleuses, how is information then being transferred to the body? Why is it that I can gesticulate like this with just the thought of it? You understand? It's not magic. You understand? The whole thing is going on in the brain. So the brain there is the center of coordination and control in the body. And we are going to see how. You understand? For all this time, you guys have been hearing, okay, the brain controls the body. How does the brain control the body? You understand? Because your body, again, is made up of what? Cells. You understand? So that means the cells in your brain are communicating with every cells in your body. And therefore, there is a communication, you understand? And you have control in that case there. So that's what we are going to talk about in depth today. So if your friends have not joined, I know some of you guys are friends to each other, remind them. We are going to start. I don't want to hear, sir, you missed a lot. I know some of you do that. So we start. Okay, welcome, Abundance. I've not seen you in my class before. Debbie, to welcome to class. So we start. Now, the aim of this class is to enable you guys to understand that how the nervous system coordinates body activities. So we call it the nervous system. How does it coordinate the body activities? How does it sense organ? Sorry, and sorry, and how sense organs detect and respond to stimuli? Excuse me. So we see the objectives at the end of this class. You guys should be able to do what? Identify the components of the central nervous system, which we are going to discuss in a minute, and the peripheral nervous system also. We are going to also discuss that. So we see you guys should be able to describe the structure and functions of the nervous system. Understand? So you should be able to describe the structure of these systems and the function of this system at the end of the class. So you guys should stay tuned. And then you should be able to explain reflex actions and voluntary actions. Then you should be able to distinguish between reflex and voluntary. So once you've been able to tell what they are, you should be able to have distinguishment or differences between them. So from that place here, we are going to see the part of the brain or the part of the nervous system that controls your reflex actions and your voluntary actions. Then we should be able to list the sense organs. I believe you guys can list this, but then we should be able to describe the structure and functions of these sense organs. So we are going to be talking about how they look. You understand? Their anatomy, the diagrams of these things, and you guys should be able to what? To relate with it. So we start. Now, what is coordination? Now, coordination and control is the process by which organisms detect stimuli and respond appropriately. Now, in previous classes, we've been able to establish the fact that stimuli might be internal or external. So, without a coordination system or coordination and control in an organism, we will not be able to react to this stimuli. You understand? So that makes us no different from a dead organism. You understand? Or from a non-living thing. So if you cannot relate or you cannot react to a stimuli, it means that you are dead or you are not a living thing. Because we've talked about types of stimuli. Everything around us is stimuli. That you can feel cold on your skin. It means that you have been stimulated by the change in temperature of the environment. That you can see light with your eyes. It means that your eyes are receiving the stimulation from light. You understand? Most of the things you see are what they call it, they are opaque. understand? Opaque. So they are opaque. So it means that they reflect light. If an object cannot reflect light, even if it is transparent to an extent, they have reflective index. You get, so you should be able to see any of those things, and how you are able to perceive them is through your what? Through your what do you call it? Sensory organs. We are going to talk about that. So we see that coordination and control is the process by which organisms detect stimuli and respond appropriately. So stimuli is found everywhere. So we now see it helps number one organisms to survive in environmental changes. So for example, say you are in an area where there is too much heat, you get, or probably you stepped into a place maybe like a furnace. If there was no way for you to respond to stimuli, you understand, you will not know that the place is very, very hot. And before you know it, maybe the fire burns you and stuff like that. You get, so that there to be able to survive in environmental changes or places maybe like in the North Pole, because you can feel the cold, it tells your body or tells you that you should get something to make yourself warm. Unless maybe you're going to have frostbite, and from frostbite you have dead cells in your body. So it also helps to maintain internal balance. You understand? It helps to maintain internal balance. You see, stimuli, like I said, can occur in many, many ways. You get, so what makes your heart pump blood when you are feeling very, very excited, or what makes your heart to pump blood very, very fast, or your body release adrenaline when maybe you see a snake and then you go into fight or flight mode, you understand, is what we call response to stimuli. Your body is responding to the stimuli, that fear you get. So it helps you to now, maintain the internal balance in your body. It also helps to perform organized body activities. You get. So like there's something we call hand-eye coordination. Some of you are very, very good at that. You know these things that they used to test that you see they will put like how should I put it? Different metals or something, then they will release it at random time and they'll say you should catch it. You get, so hand-eye coordination just means that your brain can multitask at the same time. You can see something and you can grab it. You get, like that reflex action. So it helps you to perform organized body activities. Of course, there are lots of body activities that are also organized that you can perform. You get, like some of you guys are good at listening to music and at the same time reading books. So that those types of activities are organized body activities. Without coordination and control, your body will not be organized. You get, your leg, one of your legs might be walking forward and your other leg will be moving backwards. So we continue. So systems involved. We see the nervous system, which is a fast response system. And why is that so? Is because electric synapses, you understand, are transported. That's how information is being transported. It's transported via electricity. In previous classes, I mentioned the fact that there has to be a balance between water and electrolytes in your body. So I said the reason why is because most of the information that is being transported in your body is transported via electricity. You get, and therefore it requires the what they call it electrons and ions. You get, if you are very, very familiar with chemistry and physics very well, you know that for electricity to be transported in a metal, there has to be the presence of metallic bond. A metallic bond is the bond that exists where you have what? Electrons and ions present inside. You get, so the electrons and the ions are the ones that are being what they call it rearranged, and when you pass electricity through it, then it arranges itself. You get, so that's a story for another day. But then in this case, we now see the endocrine system. The endocrine system is a slow response system. Why is that so? It's because this one here uses how should I put it? Uses chemicals instead of electricity. You get, so it releases chemicals into your body. Example is your pituitary gland, as you can see, that helps with your thyroid. We have the what they call it, the adrenaline hormone. We have so on and so forth, testosterone and so on. We call them the endocrine system. So all these ones, they are slow response in when you compare them to your nervous system. Your nervous system, as you think it, you understand. I think I want to put my hand like this, and there is no lag. I don't have to think for some seconds before I can move my hand to the front. You get? So our system is like 5G or 6G system. You get? Why the endocrine system is a slow response system, in that you have to think about that thing first before the whole thing starts to. Okay, say for example, during sexual intercourse, you get, you have to visualize what you are, before you start having erections and the rest like that. You see that in comparison to your nervous system, it is slow. You get. So we continue. The meaning of nervous system. Nervous system is a network of specialized cells that are responsible for number one, they receive stimuli. You understand? So the nervous system is group of cells, you understand, but they are now specialized in that place. Eh? So what do? They help to receive stimuli. You understand? Stimuli again is divided into light. We have touch, we have taste, we have what do you call it? Sound, we have a smell, and so on and so forth. All those things are stimuli. You get. So it also helps to transmit these impulses. So the first thing is, at point of contact, it helps to receive the stimuli. Any stimuli you can receive is done by the nervous system. Whether you can see, whether you can hear, it is because you have a nervous system that is present in your ear, in your eye. You get. So the first thing it does, it receives stimuli. You get. And then the next thing is that it transmits these impulses. You understand? After it has received it, it doesn't just keep it there. It transmits it to the what? To the nervous system. You understand? So it transmits it to the central nervous system, and then it now what? Now coordinates the responses. What part of the body needs to access this information? You understand? What is the response of this organism to this information? It is now that nervous system that does the whole thing. So without the nervous system, like I said again, we are non-living things. So we now start. The major functions is sensory reception, integration of information, and then response coordination. So like I always say, welcome to class. Sheriff, when did you become Sheriff knows nothing? Welcome to class. So we see the major function is the sensory reception. You understand? The sensory reception in what sense? In that it helps you to receive information, you understand, from your surroundings, from even inside your body. You understand? The reason why you can feel that you are hungry is because you have nervous system inside you. So we now see it helps with sensory reception. It now helps with integration of information. It now after it has received these receptions, you understand, this information, then it now, or data in this case here, it integrates the information where in the brain, you understand, and then it now coordinates the responses. You get. So that's basically everything it does. So now the division of the nervous system. We are going to come to this image in a minute. So please let's listen to this. So the nervous system has two major divisions. We have the central nervous system. Now, the central nervous system is made up of the brain and the spinal cord. So the brain is like the CPU or the motherboard of your system, where every information is being processed. You get. Without the brain, you don't have any processing of information. Please excuse me. So you don't have any processing of information without the brain. Now we now have the spinal cord. The spinal cord is what connects the brain to the other part of the body. You get. If you see somebody that they said had an accident and broke his spinal cord, you notice that any part that is connected to the spinal cord that is broken there will not function anymore. It is dead. You get. So we now have the peripheral nervous system. Peripheral nervous system is the cranial nerves and the spinal nerves. So the cranial nerves, like the nerves that connects to the what they call to the brain directly, they are just the other part of the system that does not include the brain and the spinal cord. You get. So the central nervous system is made of the brain and spinal cord, while the other nervous system that are not the brain and the spinal cord are called the peripheral nervous system. And we see that it's divided into two. We have the cranial nerves and the spinal nerves. So now from this place here, we now see What is the central nervous system? So the central nervous system, the components are the brain and spinal cord. It is the control center of the body. So it helps to control everything, whether it is your heart rate, whether it is your feelings, whether it is your, what do you call it, your hunger, your thirst. Everything is coordinated by this brain and the spinal cord. You understand? Why do they put the spinal cord into it? Is because the spinal cord also helps to transmitting information from the brain. But not only that, the spinal cord can also process information, and that's where we have the reflex actions. You get the ones that maybe you touch electricity, and before your brain or before you feel the pain at all, you've taken your hand away. That's a reflex action. You get, so that there is what is carried out by the what, by the spinal cord. So the spinal cord can also do some controls apart from transmitting those controls. Chisom Anigbogu, welcome to class. So we see the function is number one, interpretation of impulses. Now, impulses are electric signals that, you know, that, what do you call it, that transmits the information. So when you touch something, when you taste something, your body transmits it as electric signals. Then your brain now interprets it as, oh, wow, this thing is sweet. You get, so that's there. It's the nerves that are present under it that they tell that the brain, okay, this is what this guy is doing. So now it's the brain that now does the interpretation. You get, what you are using to see is not your eyes, it is your brain. You understand? But what you are using to receive the information is your eye. Your eye is the gateway to the world. You get? So it is how you, it is your, what do you call it, your input system that takes the information into your body, and then your processing system now tells your system that, okay, this is what this guy is saying. You understand? This lady is seeing a fine boy. This guy is seeing a fine girl. You get? So that's your brain telling you this is what you are seeing. Without your brain, your eyes will just be, you understand, just be figure eyes. So we continue. Now we see it interprets the impulses, whether it is voluntary or reflex. It is the major, what do you call it, the major guy there that is, you know, that's there for the decision making. You understand? So it helps in the decision making, where we see your cerebellum. We're going to talk about that, which is the cerebrum is the biggest part of the brain. Helps with your thinking, your speech, your everything. You understand? So it helps you with decision making. Sometimes when you just sit down and you think about your life, you get, and other times also when you want to carry out some decisions, you get, so it helps you with that, and then it controls your body activities, movement of your arm, movement of your mouth, everything. So now we continue. So we see part of the brain. You have the first one, which is your cerebrum. Now your cerebrum is the biggest part of the body. Please pay attention, because this is a, what do you call, this is a slide. So of course I'm not putting too much information inside it, but I'm going to explain now. Now the cerebrum is the biggest part of the brain that helps with your thinking and intelligence, your memory and voluntary action. Basically, everything voluntary, you understand, that you carry out, or the way you are able to access information, which is your intelligence, the speed at which you are able to respond to things, which is your intelligence, the way you think, the depth of your thinking is due to your what? Your cerebrum. You understand? So the what do you call it? The extent of the development of your cerebrum now tells you how intelligent you are, and it is the biggest part of your brain. As you can see, this place here, the total of this place, your frontal lobe, parietal lobe, and occipital lobe, is your cerebrum. So your brain is divided into three. This whole thing here is your cerebrum. Frontal lobe, temporal lobe, parietal lobe, occipital lobe. All of them, they coordinate your voluntary actions, your thinking and intelligence, and your memory. You understand? So then we now talk about your frontal lobe, where your, what do you call it, your eye, the information that comes from your eyes is being processed. Your parietal lobe, occipital lobe, where you feel your taste, and the rest like that. You get, so all of them are being processed in your cerebrum. You get now the second one is your cerebellum. You understand? So your cerebellum is the one that coordinates your balance and posture. You understand? It helps you to coordinate your balance and posture. So how you stand, how you balance, you understand, is present in your cerebellum. You get it also helps with muscle coordination. So when it comes to your what do you call it? Your how should I put it? Your day-to-day activities, let me put it that way, your day-to-day activities in which you use your muscles, in which you use your mouth, most of the things that you do, you get, is based on your what, your cerebellum. So it helps with maintenance of your balance and posture and your muscle coordination. Now the third one, which is your, as you can see, this is it in the image here, your cerebellum is hidden at your brain stem, behind your brain stem. Now, your medulla oblongata, which is called your brain stem, as you can see, this here is your brain stem. It's the part that connects to your spinal cord. As you can see, this is your spinal cord. But then we have what we call your brain stem. Is your medulla oblongata. So it controls your autonomic system activities. You understand? So your autonomic system activities are activities that you cannot control. You understand? That you cannot like, even you don't have to think to control them, like your breathing. You get like your heartbeat. You can't stop your heartbeat by yourself. You get, in fact, your brain is so smart that if you say you want to stop your breathing, your brain knocks you out and then starts to breathe for itself. You get me, you know, those of you that used to say, how many minutes can I hold my breath? You get, so you've never seen somebody die from holding their breath before. Yet why is because once you start to hold your breath, your system sees you yourself as a threat to yourself and then knocks you out, makes you faint, and then to now take over your system. That is how good your system is. So we see that it controls your heartbeat and also controls your swallowing. As I know, sometimes when you have too much saliva in your mouth, you tend to swallow. So anything that is controlled, that you cannot control, that you don't have to think before you control them. You get, it's controlled by your medulla oblongata. Yeah, so if you hear all those people that say, you're busting my medulla oblongata, it's a lie. So now we continue. Spinal cord. The spinal cord is a long tubular structure inside the vertebral column. Now, if you hear tubular in biology, I've already said it. It's something that has a vascularized shape. You get, that means it has a specific long shape. It's not round. You get, it is long. You get. So when we talked about like vascular bundles, you see the way it is. We see the bacterial cells, the what do you call it? We have the vascular ones, we have the round ones, like that, like that. So when you get tubular structure, you get all these things that they have like what do you call it? The vascular structure inside the vertebral column. So the vertebral column is your what do you call it? The bones. This spinal cord is the gel-like substance that you see this red ass substance that is here. You get is your spinal cord. Why the bones here is they are called your vertebral column. You understand? The one that houses them. That one that I have disc on disc on disc on disc on disc like that. When you touch your back, you get the middle of your back, all those things that you can feel there is called your vertebral column. So your vertebral column is the one that protects your spinal cord because your brain, your spinal cords are very, very delicate. You understand? They are like pap. But let me just call them custard because custard is thicker. You get, so if they shake you, understand, there is a trauma that is being what do you call it, given to your brain or your spinal cord. You get, so therefore, what do you call it? We need bones to be able to support them so that when you maybe jump from a place and then you injure yourself, your bone does, your spinal cord doesn't just snap instantly because once it snaps, forget it. So we've seen the what do you call it? Yes, involuntary. Thank you very much, patience. So we see patience. But I'm calling you like an Igbo person. Patience. So we see the functions is that it controls number one, the reflex actions. So it controls the reflex actions. Like I said your brain controls most of your voluntary actions and your involuntary actions. We've seen the division of them. We've seen the cerebellum, we've seen the cerebrum, and we've seen the medulla oblongata, and we've known where they exist. At this point, I believe everybody is familiar with what they are now and the functions that they carry out. But when we talk about the spinal cord controls the reflex actions. So, what do we mean by reflex actions? We're going to see it in the next slide. But basically, it is just when you touch something, you understand, and you there is the reflex actions are actions that the impulses are not transported to the brain before your body reacts. You get, if you kill a fish, you understand, and you notice the fish is still moving, it is a reflex action. You get, still the same action that you have when you touch iron and you quickly remove your hand because you understand, you felt that thing before it even reached your brain. So we see it controls the reflex actions and conducts impulses between the brain and the body. Like I said, it is the conduit between the brain and the body. All your nerves are not just connected directly to your brain, they are connected to your what? To your spinal cord. So as you can see, the what you see here, the cervical vertebrae, that's what they are talking about. Is the bones that we are talking about in this place. Yeah. So we have C1 to C7, you get, and then we have the thoracic vertebrae, which is T1 to T12. And then you see the lumbar vertebrae, which is what? Which is L1 to L5. And then we have the sacral vertebrae, which is S1 to S5. So you can do the mathematics by yourself. If they tell you how many bones do we have in your vertebrae or your vertebral column, you get, do the arithmetic. 7 plus 12 plus 5 plus 5. If you do the arithmetic, what you get is your answer. So from there, all these what do you call it? The columns there, they are the ones that make up your vertebral column, and they are the ones that help to keep your spinal cord in place and protect it. So we continue. Sorry. So the peripheral nervous system. So we've seen the spinal cord, we've seen the central nervous system. Central nervous system is made up of two things, your brain and your spinal cord. We've talked about the brain, so we've talked about the spinal cord also. Now I want to talk about the peripheral nervous system. What is the peripheral nervous system? It consists of nerves that are outside the central nervous system. So that's the first thing you should know. So I said the central nervous system is the brain and the spinal cord. So every other thing, the nerves themselves that extend from this spinal cord, the nerves themselves that extend from your brain, because there's something we call the cranial nerves. Now, do you know that your brain does not have a nerve? So your brain cannot feel pain. So when you feel headache, what you have is that the cranial nerves, which are present in your head, are the ones that they are receiving pressure. You understand? So that pressure there is the reason why they call it headache, not brain ache. You get? So it is your head, your cranial nerves are the ones that are receiving the pressure. Your brain does not have a nerve. You get? Doesn't have a nerve, so your brain cannot feel anything. You get? So sometimes pressing iron. Go me take it on. It's pressing iron. Sorry. So we see the functions of these things is that what they do is they connect to the other part of the body. You understand? So they act as a bridge from for the other part of the body to your spinal cord and your brain, which is your central nervous system. So the peripheral nervous system, again, peripheral means helping in this case. Yeah. So they help to what? To get all the reception, your fingers, everywhere in your body, internally, externally. You get, that's where you see what they call it. They come into play. So they carry the impulses to your central nervous system, and they also carry responses from your central nervous system. You understand? So maybe it is to jerk, to remove your hand, or to jerk your knee. You get, some of you have had knee jerks before. You get, so all those things there, they are the responses that your brain and your spinal cord has deemed fit to give to that part of the body. You understand? So your peripheral nervous system now transports it back. And all these things happen within nanoseconds. You get, that is why we say that your nervous system is the fastest system, what do you call it, in your body. You get so because it has electricity and it is being transported. Short signals, very, very fast. You get we have the relay neurons, sensory neurons, and motor neurons. We are going to talk about them. So we now see types of neurons are number one, sensory neurons. The second one is motor neurons, and the third one is relay neurons. Now I'm going to talk about this. What about migraine, Debbie? So migraine is as a result of it's still the same thing. You get like the pressure. It's pressure basically. You get there are different types of migraine. Migraine is just a type of headache that is in a particular region. You understand? Your headache is general. You understand? You have it around your head. Why migraine is at a particular region? Maybe it's the back of your head. You get if it is in the front of your head, then probably you'll be stressing yourself. You understand? The stress is affecting you. If it is maybe behind your head, probably it is high blood pressure. You understand? You have to get yourself checked. Most of these things are they are what do you call it? Um, they are as a result of something. So they tell you that your body needs help. Attend to your body. Stop doing these things. Stop doing that. You get so. Excuse me. All these things here are what do you call it? That's what we mean by that. I hope I've been able to answer your question, David. So we continue. So from here, now the types, the first one is the sensory neurons. What are the sensory neurons? Sensory neurons are neurons that help to receive information. They are the neurons that receive information from your receptors. You understand? Which is your hand. In this case here, probably your hand. Just using that as an example. Probably or your face. Somebody slapped you. Bah! So maybe because you ate his Doritos, he slapped you on your cheek. Now, that pain on your cheek there is now taken by the sensory neurons. So it sends it to your what they call it, probably your spinal cord, which then takes it to your brain, and then your brain now returns it back. So for it to go back, the connection between your sensory neuron is called your motor neurons, and then the one that now gives the response to the part of the body that you now feel the pain is called the relay neurons. When the person slaps you, it is not at that point that you feel the pain. You understand? So the reason why you feel the pain is because of the speed at which it was transported to your brain and back. You get that's why you feel it almost instantly. Because that speed, like I said there, is in like nanoseconds, like 0.0000001 of a second. You understand? It's like saying you divide 1 second by 1 billion. You get so that's how fast your nerves are able to transport information. You get so now the neuron. So, like I said, the sensory neuron, they are the neurons that are capable, or sorry, they are responsible for carrying information from any part of the body to the spinal cord or the brain. You understand? While the motor neurons are the neurons that are what they call it, they help to connect the sensory neuron and the relay neuron to each other, especially during a reflex action. You understand? So then we now have the relay neurons, which are, excuse me, which are the neurons that now transport back the information, the response to the part of the body that needs the response. So we continue. So, excuse me, people. Now, the neuron is what? What is this neuron that we've been talking about? The neuron is called the nerve cells. The nerve cells. So these nerve cells are the ones that come together to form your nervous system. You understand? The nerve cells form the nervous tissue, and the nerve tissue forms the what? The nervous system. So what is now this neuron? The neuron is called the nerve cell. It is the functional unit of a nervous system. So it is that cell that comes together. You understand? We see that our cell is the basic unit of life. So for a nervous system, the basic unit is the neuron, which is the nerve cell. So what is the structure of it? The first one is the dendrite. So the dendrites are found at this place here. You understand? As you can see, what they do is that they receive impulses either from the receptor or from other nerve cells because they are connected end to end. Please pay attention. So the dendrites receive impulses. That's what they do. Now, the cell body, as you can see, because it is a cell, so it has to have a cell body which contains the nucleus. You understand? It's a cell. What is present in every cell is that they have a nucleus. You understand? So that's why it can reproduce itself and at the same time possess the same genetic material. That's what we call a cell. Cell, that's yeah, sorry, that's the use of a nucleus, the possession of your what? Of your DNA. So from that place here, the next thing is welcome, good afternoon, Solomon Adedeji or Adedeji. Welcome to class. You're just joining. So in this picture, we see that not only that, the nucleus also helps to now coordinate what is going on in the cell. So for this nerve cell or neuron in this place here, what it is doing is that it already coordinates how the impulses are going to move through each cells. You understand? So for every cell, what the nucleus is doing is that it's acting as a brain, directing how the impulse is going to flow. You understand? So we've seen that's what the nucleus does, and we also have the what do you call it? The axon. So the axon is this long thing that runs through this place here. It runs through the myelin sheath. So the places that are exposed are called the node of Ranvier. We are going to talk about the node of Ranvier. Now the axon, what it does is that it transmits impulses. It's an extension of the nerve body. You understand? So the whole cell body is this guy. You get, so it contains the what do you call it? This nucleus. The extension of that cell is now this one here. It acts like a wire, a conduit to help to transport the what? The impulses. But it is also part of this cell. We've been able to see from the kingdom Monera, kingdom Protista that cells can take any form. You understand? They can be shapeless like your amoeba. They can have a round shape like your red blood cells. They can have what they call it tubular shape like your staphylococcus. Sorry, yeah, E. coli rather. E. coli is the one that causes food poisoning. Abi? So yeah, all these things that they can and the cells can have different shape. So here is another cell here with a different shape on its own. Yeah. So the axon helps to transmit the impulses, while the myelin sheath is made of fats of fatty acids of fat. Yeah, let's just call it fat in this case here. And what it does is for insulation. Note, if you have a wire in a place, for you not to be shocked by that wire, you have to insulate it by putting a non-conducting element on it. That's why you see that it is coated with rubber. So that is what the myelin sheet does in the axon in this place here. So it makes sure that this what do you call it, the electricity that is being transported through it is not lost in transmission. But via energy loss. You know that there's something we call energy loss. The amount of energy generated will not be the amount of energy used. I'm not going to take you guys into physics, but we all understand that sometimes when you generate electricity, there's also energy lost as an what do you call it, as a result of heat. Yet energy cannot be created nor destroyed, but can be transformed from one state to another. First law of thermodynamics. So in that case, there is the same thing for this also. Electric impulses should not be lost in transition. Electric impulses should not be shocking you. So therefore you need a myelin sheet. And this place here, which is the node of Ranvier, which is very, very, actually very, very minute, helps for jumping of electricity from one place to another. You understand? So that's how your body is made. Please, if you have questions, you can write them down. At the end of the class, you can ask questions. So we now see what are these nerve impulses. As you can see, the nerve impulses comes in through your dendrite, enters into your nucleus body, transports itself through the axon, and then jumps at the end of it, as you can see, which is called your what? Your axon terminal. You understand? Or we call it the synaptic ends. So the synaptic ends are like bulbs, like this at the bottom. But we call them the axon terminals. So in this case, it moves through the axon terminals and then moves into another nerve cell from this place here. You get? So that's what it does. So a nerve impulse is an electric signal transmitted along a neuron. So it travels in one direction. So either it is the sensory neuron or the motor neuron or the relay neuron. It is in one direction that your what? Your nerve impulse transports itself. It is an electric, like I said from the beginning, it is an electric signal. So everything what do you call it, that you feel is transported in the body as electricity. It is when it gets into your brain that your brain now calms it down and says, okay, this is what this person touched. You understand? This is how it should feel. Then it now runs it back again. All this, like I said, happens within what, a split second. So that's why if you taste something, it doesn't lag before you feel the taste. Welcome, Jaden Ogoro. You're just joining class. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Just started. So we see it also aids rapid transmission. So it is transmits very, very fast. In fact, people that tried to study these things could barely notice the movement because it was very, very fast. It's just because, what do you call it? We have like transmissions per second. So it is like a continuous movement of electricity, which is very, very fast. So that's what is happening. It's the same thing in your wires because the electricity is moving at a very, very high speed and high frequency is why it's able to on this light. If it is just one electric signal that is moving past, you understand, what you just see is a flicker of the light. Or if you will not even notice the flicker of the light, you get. So it's the same thing that happens in your wire that happens also in your body. So it requires a living tissue, mainly your what? Your neurons. You understand? So your neurons can be found everywhere, under your skin, in your tongue, in your ear, in your eyes. You get, they can be found everywhere. So now, since we've established that, we now want to talk about reflex action. What is reflex action? So some of you are familiar with this term. So reflex action is a rapid, automatic, and involuntary response to a stimulus. You understand? So some people have very, very good reflexes. If you hear, say for example, you don't notice somebody throwing something at you, but all of a sudden, the side of your eye catches it, and then you're able to stop it. That's a reflex. You understand? We see cats have very, very fast reflex. You understand? Why? Is because of what? They so electricity is transported fast to your spinal cord. That is where your reflex action occurs. You get, and then it does what? It's now sent back directly. So before your brain can think of it, sometimes all the things you do, you don't even think of it. You don't even you didn't know that you could do it. In that case, yeah, some of you you've dodged death at like an air's breath. Maybe a car was just coming, boom, instead of you to calm down and think of, okay, maybe I should dodge to the left or dodge to the right, your body just moves by itself. You get that. There is a reflex action. So the characteristics of this is that it is fast. It is fast. It is protective. It is to do what? To protect the organism. You get, to protect the organism, and then it is not consciously controlled. Anything consciously controlled basically is what do you call it? Is done by the brain. You get. So we now see examples. We have the blinking. Your blinking is a reflex action. You get. Some people when they say boo to them, like they close their eyes very, very fast. You get. If you are the type that if they say boo, or probably somebody scares you and you don't blink your eye, please go and check yourself. You don't have a good reflex action at all. So I know we used to do it when we were small. They would say, you closed your eyes. You are supposed to close your eye. You get. If somebody is trying to put something into your eye is supposed to close by itself. If it does not close by itself, then there is an issue with you. So another thing is knee jerk. You understand? Some people they feel that knee jerk. Some people when you hit your knee against something, you know that excruciating pain that makes your leg just snap like that. You get. So that's called the knee jerk. Now the third one is withdrawal from it. You get. Like I made mention of, when you touch iron, you understand, before you feel it in your brain, before you think of, this thing is very, very painful, you've taken your hand off it. The same thing that happens for kids. I remember then when your siblings, when you want to touch the iron, you are shouting, "Don't touch the iron!" Your dad will say, "Leave him, let him touch the iron." Or probably the child saw fire and is like, "Wow, what is this thing that is very, very beautiful?" Your dad will say, "Let him touch it." Yet, as the child touches it like this, instantly they'll take their hand off. That's a reflex action. And then after like a few seconds, they'll now look at you. Maybe you're looking at them. Then they'll start to cry. Some of you that have siblings will be able to relate with what I'm saying. So yeah, if you are a single child, I'm not dissing you or anything, but I'm just saying if you are what they call it, if you have siblings, you'll be able to relate to this. Now, all this year, we are just talking about reflex actions. So we've seen blinking, we've seen eject, and we've seen withdrawal from it. So what is now the reflex arc? Now the reflex arc is the pathway that is followed through a reflex action. So now we want to see how a reflex action is being carried out. We see that the stimulus is what they call it. The first thing is that you get in contact with the stimulus, and then the receptor reacts to this stimulus, carries what they call it, a synapse or a nerve impulse, and then it transports it. The receptors transport it to the sensory neurons. I've said the sensory neurons are the ones that are connected to the receptors, and they what they just do is they receive electricity. You understand? So there is a what they call it. There's a microscopic word in which when you touch something, there is at the end of your receptor there is a part where electricity is being generated. Electricity is not generated from what you touched. You understand? It's just generated in response to what you touched. So if it is heat, you get, or if it is cold, there are different electric signals for it. So it now transports itself through the sensory neurons and then goes to your spinal cord. Note, it does not go to your brain. It goes to your spinal cord, and then through your spinal cord, then goes to your what? To your motor neurons. You understand? The motor neuron is the one that transports what? The response back, you understand, from your spinal cord, which is why it's a reflex action. Reflex action occur in your spinal cord. So we see then the motor neuron transports it to the effector, and then the effector generates a response. All this within a nanosecond. You understand? So the importance is that it helps to prevent injury. You get, so instead of you having to wait for that iron to burn through your hand before you start feeling the pain, you understand? It helps you to just take your hand off. Yeah, sometimes you just feel the pain. It would have not burnt your hand at all. You get. It also enables quick reaction. There are things that you do that you need quick reaction. Maybe a car is coming towards you. You understand? And you didn't notice until the last minute. Some of you are very, very good that you will still dodge that car. You get. Why some of you, yeah, so now we continue. The what do you call it? We have the receptors in this place here. They they receive this what they call it. What they are just trying to explain is what I've just explained in this place here. So the receptors is transported through the what? Through the sensory neurons, which is the afferent signal. It now gets to the what? The integration center. As you can see, the image here they are trying to draw is your what they call your vertical section of your spinal cord. You understand? This is the vertebral column here. This guy that is running inside it that looks like jelly is your spinal cord. You get, so as it gets to this place here, this your interneuron is called your relay neuron. You understand? So the relay neuron goes from this place here to this place here, and then it now what? We have the what? The motor neurons, and then called it the efferent signal or the efferent nerve impulse. Then it goes back to your what? To your effectors. You understand? So your effectors and your receptors are two different things. You get your effectors, they actualize that signal that is gotten from your what? From your motor neurons. You understand? Your sensory neurons takes it in from your receptors, while your effectors receive the what? The processed signal from your what? From your motor neuron. So that's what it does. So we continue. No, when we were small, fire was beautiful. You get, fire was something that amazed kids. Like if you have a junior brother, you understand what I'm saying. That every child when they see fire, they want to play with it. It's after they've now burnt their hand, they'll now start saying, Jojo, you get. So we continue. Voluntary actions or voluntary action. A voluntary action is a response under conscious control. So we've been able to establish a reflex action. A reflex action is the one that is not consciously controlled. You understand? It's just your body trying to prevent itself. You understand? Trying to protect itself. Yeah. So in this place here, we see the conscious control is controlled by the part of the brain which we call the cerebrum. You understand? We've been able to see that cerebrum helps with your thinking, your speech, and your voluntary actions. So in this place here, and your intelligence, by the way. So your cerebrum controls your conscious mind. You get so example is your walking, your writing, and your speaking. You get so at the point it starts to what do you call it? That's why you have to learn these things before. And so the place that can be rewritten is your cerebrum. You get so it helps you learn things, but the other part of your body are things that have been pre-programmed. You get just like your RAM and your ROM. In fact, I think computer engineers looked at the brain and used it to develop a CPU. So that's just how it is. So we continue. So the difference is between the two of them. For reflex action, it is automatic. Why voluntary action is conscious. Reflex action is very, very fast. Why voluntary action, in comparison to reflex action, is slower. You get why the what do you call it? Where it is being processed is your spinal cord. Why for your voluntary action, it is in the brain that has been what that processes the information. Reflex action is protective action. Why voluntary action is intentional. You get so it has intent in it. So we continue. The sense organ. The sense organ. I think we have what do you call it before test period. So the sense organ, I believe everybody is familiar with the sense organ. When we're small, we used to sing it and say eyes is for seeing, nose is for smell, and you get so all these things here, they are your five sense organs here, and they also have receptors. So in this case, these your five sense organs are the ones that help you to be able to respond to external stimuli. You understand? So we see that they detect environmental changes using receptors. We've been able to see what receptors are. Receptors are at your nerve endings and they help you to what? To get information from the surroundings. You get so they also have receptors. Your eyes have receptors that connect to the neurons. You understand? We have the ears also. They have receptors. We have the nose, they have receptors. We have the tongue, they have receptors, and we have the skin, they have receptors. But all these things, they what they call it, they react to different external stimuli. The eyes react to sight. You understand? The ears is used for hearing. The nose is used for smelling. The tongue for tasting, and the skin for touching. Now, most of these things they have multiple uh, use, but all these things are their basic use in this place. Yeah. So the eyes, see how beautiful the eye looks. So we see the eye is made up of what is it made up of? The first thing is the cornea. The cornea is the external disc in this place. Yes, the one that you what do you call it? That keeps everything in balance. So it's like your eye lens. That's what we call what do you call it? Your external lens in this case. Yeah. So that's your eye starts from this place. Yeah. The visible part of it is your pupil and your iris in this place. Yeah. Excuse me. So in this place here, we see the cornea. The cornea is very, very transparent. You can't see any color, but it's the one that is outside here. So the iris controls light intensity. The cornea, what it does is it admits light. The iris is the one that controls the light intensity, whether your eyes is going to contract or dilate. You understand? So when they say dilation, it means that it expands. So when you are in a dark room and your eyes need to adjust to the dark room, it's what? It dilates. You get it. It's the same reason why when you are outside, where there is very, very high, what do you call it, light intensity, and you enter into a room where it is dim, you get it will take a time for your eyes to adjust. Even if there is light inside that house, If the light is not as bright as the one that is outside, everywhere inside will just look dim to you. So your eyes will have to what to adjust to the light inside them. So what does that is the iris. So the second one is the pupil. Second one is the pupil. The pupil is the opening for light. You understand? It is the opening for light that allows the light to be concentrated on the lens. As you can see, the lens is what do you call it? Biconcave. You get when you see biconcave, sorry, biconvex rather. Understand? It is not straight like your normal lens. It is bent on both sides and caves outward. So that is why we call it biconvex. Yeah, so it now focuses the image because the image that is taken by your eye is upside down. You get it is upside down. So it is then transported into the retina, which are photoreceptors. Then your brain is now the one that now tells you that this is what you are seeing, blah blah blah. So we see the optic nerve carries impulses. Is why a child, if the child is what they call it, still a baby, you get they tend to look at things a lot. You think they are looking at you because you are fine. No, it's not because of that. It's because they are seeing you upside down. So they are wondering why you are walking with your head. You get so we've seen what they do. We see that the retinas are photoreceptors. After the lens focuses the image, then the retinas now help you because they are the photoreceptors, like I said, receptors. So they are nerve endings that now carry this information and then convert it to electric signals. And then the optic nerve now carry the impulses as your motor neurons. You understand? So they carry it to your brain and then it now relays it back to your what do you call it? Um, it relays it back to your brain, it relays it to your brain, and your brain now relays it back to your eye. So we now see the receptors are made up of two things. The first one is the rods, which helps to dim the vision. Yet they help to dim the vision. As you can see, the receptors are found in your what do you call it, your retina. The name of the receptors, the photoreceptors, are your retina. So in your retina, we find the rods and the cones. So as you can see in this place here, this is your retina in this place here. As you can see. So this here is this one that you are seeing in this place here is this is your veins and your arteries in this place here. So the connection between the two of them is what you call your capillaries. In this place. So this here you have the capillaries that are present inside your eye. That's why you notice your eye goes red if you don't sleep very well. Now the optic nerve is now connected. As you can see, this yellow portion here is your retina, and then it is connected to your what? To your optic nerve. So that's what it does in this place. And we've been able to establish the fact that your nerves is also present in your eye. So the next part that we are going to see is now for your ear. Now, where is your nerve present in your ear? Now, the first one we have here is your outer ear. Your outer ear uses an ear canal to collect sound. So the pinna is called the outer ear. So the outer ear is made up of this your helix and your lobe, and then your ear canal in this place here, and your eardrum. You get so that's what makes it. And then you have your tympanic cavity. This place here, all these guys here are your pinna. We call them the outer ear. Now your ossicles is your middle ear. So the ossicles help you to amplify the sound. They are made up of your what? Your malleus, which is your eardrum. You understand? Like the ear anvil is the one that is hitting on your eardrum. So after your eardrum vibrates, it is transported to your malleus, and then you have your incus, which is now connected to your stapes in this place here. The three of these guys here are called your middle ear. You understand? We call them the what? The ossicles. They help you to amplify the sounds that you are hearing. You get so after your eardrum has accepted it and it has vibrated, it is those vibrations that they now enter into your malleus, your incus, and state. And then now you see your cochlea. Your cochlea here, as you can see here, which is round like this. You get it is for hearing. Your cochlea is used for hearing, and your semicircular canals in this place here contain a liquid which we call the endolymph. You can write that down. It contains the endolymph, and the endolymph is what helps you to balance. That is why you notice that if you have anything wrong with your ear, it will affect the way. In fact, you want to stand, you'll be feeling somehow, somehow. The same way when you roll, when you rotate, this endolymph inside your ears, after you stopped, they continue rotating. If you notice for water, if you put your hand inside a bucket of water and you start to rotate the water, when you take your hand off, you get the water will continue rotating. That's why you notice when you've rotated, finish, your eyes will still continue to turn you. You get, so the reason is because of what, the endolymph that is present inside your semicircular canal are still rotating. You get, so therefore it affects your balance. So your balance is what do you call it? Your balance when you stand, the way you feel balanced when you stand, when you walk, you understand, is due to the liquid, the endolymph that is present inside your semicircular canals. Yeah, so that's what it does. So you can see that your nerve is now connected directly to this place here. So this one here is connected to your what? Your cranial nerve. As you can see, your eyeballs, everything that is present in your head is not connected to your spinal cord. It is connected to your cranial nerves, which now connects directly to your what? To your brain. So in that place, that's how or your brain stem rather. You get. Jack, thank you very much. JD Nagoro, clap for yourself, Jai. And somebody should clap for him. So we see nose is used for smelling. You get. So it's used for smelling. That's why I said if they ask you what is used for breathing and you say nose, you are failed. You get. The part that is used for breathing is your lungs. The part that is used for smelling is your nose. So your nose is used for smelling. So if they ask you what is your nose used for and you choose breathing over smelling, you have failed. So we see it contains what we call olfactory receptors. Olfactory is just what do you call it? Smelling. That's just what it means. So it contains what we call the receptors. As you can see, the receptors are present here also, and then we have the olfactory bulbs that now transport it down into your system. So the function is that it detects chemicals in the air. So smells are chemical. You understand? If you smell feces, it means that the chemicals in the air are not good. You get, so that's what it does. It detects the chemicals in the air and then sends the signal to the brain. Awal Wahab, welcome to class. Welcome to class. We just started. So we see for tongue, the tongue also contains what we call the taste bud. So for I think in secondary school, you guys have learned that your tongue is divided into taste buds, and then we have the taste helps you to taste the sweet part, the bitter, the salty, and the sour. But we also have a third one which we call the umami. So the umami is not sweet, it's not sour, it's not bitter, it's not salty. You get, it is just there. So any taste that does not fall in between this category is called the umami, like the taste of your tomato. You understand? There is tomato is a fruit, you get, but if you put it in a fruit salad, you're going to have problems. Like maybe you want to give somebody a fruit salad and you're including tomatoes inside, they are going to punch you. Why? Is because it's not sweet per se. You get, it doesn't have the same taste as your oranges, your pineapples, your what do you call it, watermelon, and the rest like that. You get, it has a taste which we call the umami taste. Yes, the same thing for meat. Meat is not sweet, doesn't have sugar taste, which is from what do you call it? Sugar taste, which is from glucose. You get. Neither does it have the sour taste, which is from acid. It doesn't have the bitter taste, which basically is from bases or alkaline, and doesn't have the salty taste, which is from salt. You get. It has the umami taste. Now, umami taste is gotten from glutamate or nucleotide. That is why you notice in your Maggi, they always put what we call sodium glutamate inside so as to give it that umami taste. That taste that you do, chef's kiss. You get, it's not sweet, it is umami. So, yes, let's continue before we spend more time on this one. So we see the functions is it helps with what? Your taste perception. You understand? That is what your tongue helps you with. It helps you with speech. There are some articulations that you do with your tongue. You get for those that do English here, we have plosives, we have the fricatives, and the rest like that, like that, like that. So all those things there, the fricatives are they are made with your what? Your tongue. You understand? And the roof of your mouth. So we see it helps with what? With speech allowance, assistance. Then it also helps with swallowing. It helps you to be able to swallow your food. Without it, you won't be able to swallow. So as you can see, the tongue is divided into taste buds, and in this taste buds, we have what we call the circumvallate papilla. So inside this guy here, as you can see, these here guys here are taste buds. If you look at it very, very well. Now, inside your tongue, we have all these fungiform papilla, filiform papilla, and the foliate papilla. You understand? All these ones are just different forms of tissues that are present in your tongue. So we now see that inside all of them, we have all these things that we have here. You have the taste airs in this place here. We have the basal cell, we have the gustatory cell, and the transition cell. All these things are not going to be asked for me in the exam. Just understand that taste receptors are also present in your taste buds. You get it? Inside your taste buds is where you have all these things, as you can see here. Inside there, you see your taste buds are present inside it. So it is your what they call it penetrate when you eat food. Those tastes they penetrate into your tongue and reach your taste buds, and your taste receptors now sends it to your brain. Your brain is like, this thing is sweet. It's chef's kiss. So we continue. So next one we see here is your skin. Your skin is used for what? It contains receptors for number one, heat, cold, pressure, pain, and touch. So all these things they are felt by your skin. You understand? So this here is your skin, and the skin is the largest organ of your body. You get or the largest tissue of your body is your skin because it covers everywhere. Covers your nose, cover your mouth, cover your what do you call it? In fact, covers your feet, your palm, their skins there. So all of them there, they contain receptors. It's just that the nerve endings or the nerves present in a particular part of the body might be more than other parts of the body. Like, for example, let me give you an example. There are things that when you hold them in your hand, they feel small, but inside your mouth, it feels big. For example, see, if something was stuck in your teeth, you get like meat now. The sensation you'll be feeling in your teeth is like, there's a big meat in my teeth. Then when you pull it out, it might just be very, very tiny. Why is that so? It's because of the concentration of nerve that's present there. We have more nerves in your mouth. Why? Because nerves are used for many things. Like I said, they are used for taste. So you have the taste ones, you have the ones that what they call helps you to feel, and so on and so forth. So because you have lots of them in your mouth compared to your hand, anything that is in your hand that feels small would feel big in your mouth. So that's just how it is. So we see that the functions of it is to what? To protect. You understand? It helps to hide your internal organs. So it helps in protection. It helps for sensation. Sensation of what? Of all these things we've mentioned: heat, cold, pressure, pain, and touch. Then it also helps with temperature regulation. In the previous class, we talked about what we call perspiration or sweating. You get, and I made mention of it that perspiration or sweating is excuse me, is when you lose water from your skin, you get, and then it cools down your body. That's the usefulness of sweating. You get through thermodynamic process, it is lost via the evaporation of the sweat on your skin, thereby making your system cool down. So that's the work of your skin. So we've seen the functions for protection, sensation, and temperature regulation. So we have come to the end of the class, and we have 15 minutes left. So does anyone have a question? First things first, let me even put the what they call it. You guys want to for those. So that's the attendance code on your screen. There's the attendance code on your screen. So you guys can mark your attendance. I'm going to drop a link also for your test. We have the test link present here. Um, so again, please go back to the assignments that I gave you in the previous class. Understand? Doing assignments will help you, not me. So we see. Um, does anyone have a question? Let me post the link for tests. So I think nobody has a question then. So man, Adedeji, you said so fast. I don't get. Like, are we supposed to take? I should continue. I mean, that's the end of the what do you call of this class. Most of the classes that we had then, we were able to speed some things through. So some of the topics that we are going to be doing now is just going to be like chill something. You get, and I would love for us to be able to answer questions on it. So I have sent the link. I sent the link to the test. I sent the link to the test. So please attempt the. Is tears a waste product? Not really, no. The waste products that is present there, that what they call that's been removed from your eye, the dirt that are inside your eye. Understand? So the tear glands help you wash it out. Understand? They're just a mechanism by which the waste itself is washed out. You get? So if you are crying, just means that you stimulated your what do you call it, your eye cells, yeah, and therefore water is coming out. Tears is not a waste product. When we're talking about waste product in the last class, I didn't mention tears as a waste product. You get? So Faith Moe, tears is not a waste product. I hope you understand. Excuse me. I'm waiting for responses. I've not seen a response at all. How about the mucus from the eye? So, okay, someone is asking what is synaptic nerves. Please let's attempt the question. At the end of the question, I'm going to respond to what you put it. At the end of the quiz, I'm going to respond to your questions. Okay then. I'm still not getting any responses. Nobody has attempted the question. This is the link. Oh, please let's attempt the question. Nobody. So many of you are done. Are you guys doing these questions like this? Syllabus coordination. What should I do with the link? The link is a link to the test. You have to answer 30 questions. I believe all of us are familiar with this. Or maybe you just joined us. So you click on the link or you type the link into a what do you call it? Okay. I should have explained that. So when you click the link, or you type saying what do you call it? You type it into your Chrome, it takes you to a test where you answer 30 questions for 10 minutes. You get. So then yeah. When we are done, we'll just do a little bit of correction. I only see one response. I only see one response and nobody else. Okay, well, mm, this is interesting. Yeah, guys, I have 2 minutes left. Let me see a response. I'm just going to do the correction and we'll call it a day. Uh, Oh, if you've done it, then it's probably you are the one that is here. Okay, you didn't give your score. I think you scored 20 over 30. That's what you scored here. That's what I'm saying here. Sorry, John Victor, I didn't. Okay, somebody also just finished. Yeah, I didn't collect the. Should have added, put your name there. So I'll be able to see it. So someone else scored 22. Scored 22. Yeah, I've seen it. What do you call it? 20 is scored. That person scored 22. So I'm just going to start. For those that have not done it, you guys can go and do it later. So we see the part of the brain responsible for smell perception is the olfactory lobe, of course, which is present in the cerebrum. That's correct. Rapid response to stimulus is known as reflex action. Correct. So the central nervous system consists of what? The brain and the spinal cord. That's very, very correct. Now, the impulse away from the CNS is carried by what? We are not supposed. This is not. Okay, somebody just finished. It is not relay neurons. Is the connection between sensory neurons and motor neurons. Now we already know that the sensory neurons are the ones that carry, what do you call it, the reception or the information from the receptors to the central nervous system. You understand? The sensory neurons are just like end-to-end connecting of nerve cells that they now form like a wire that connects your receptors to your what? To your central nervous system. Now, carrying it back from your central nervous system is where we now have the motor neurons. You understand? The motor neurons now carries it away from your central nervous system to your what? To your receptors. That's what it does. Faith Moyin, if you just finished now, I think your score, I don't know. And I didn't even ask for your, what do you call it? Okay. Mm, one person scored 19, another 20, and two people scored 22, basically. So we see, uh, yep, where was I? So the number five, reflex action are controlled mainly by the spinal cord. Very correct. Somebody still chose cerebellum. Just know people that are not present in class. Now we see the functional unit of the nervous system is the what? Neuron. Thank you very much. Nerve cells, neuron. Somebody still chose dendrite. The structure, which structure coordinates balance is your what? Thank you very much. Your cerebellum, like I said, the cerebellum is located behind the brain stem and it coordinates your what? Your balance. It's there. See, the cerebrum helps with your thinking and the rest of the intelligence and so on. While the medulla oblongata helps with your autonomous nervous system. Autonomous nervous system is the system that what? That sorry, that is controlled automatically. You don't control it. So from this place, we see the pathway followed during the reflex is called the reflex. So it's just choosing anything. I don't know, man. Like this impulse route is not even close to the answer. So the myelin sheath functions to do what? To increase the impulse speed. It doesn't protect the nucleus. The nucleus is not located in the axon. If you look at the image, let me go back to the image again. I feel like many people were not listening when I was talking about the myelin sheath. So um I'll share this one. So from this place here, we look at these guys here. These guys are fats that are wrapped around the axons. You understand? What they do is not, they don't protect the nucleus. The nucleus is here. You understand? This is where the nucleus is, not even inside the myelin sheath whatsoever. You get it is the axons that run through the myelin sheath. So what it does in that place there, what it does is to help to increase the impulse speed. You understand? It also insulates, but they do not put insulation here. So your answer is supposed to be increased what? The speed. So we see sensory neurons transmit impulses from what? The receptor to the what? To the CNS. This is very, very correct. So That's it. Now the cerebrum controls what? The voluntary actions. We still choose heartbeat again. So the withdrawal of hand from it is what? Reflex actions. Please, these questions are from jam packs. I'm not going to lie to you, it's there. Yeah, if you check it very, very well, it's present there. I just did not include the what they call it. It's present there. So the neuron linking sensory and motor neurons is the what? The relay neurons. I made mention of it. Somebody still chose the effector neuron in this place here. So we see which neuron receives impulses. Which part of the neuron rather receives impulses? The dendrite. The axon is the one that now transfers it to another one. You understand? The receiving is done in the dendrite. There's even an image there that shows the movement of it. I made mention of it. Please, let's be following when we are talking about this in class. That's why I always say stick with me. So you see the way the movement goes into the dendrite and then moves down the axon and then goes to the what? To the axon, what they call it, the axon terminal. So now, excuse me. Some people are still on it. Okay. So we continue. So the peripheral nervous system. Peripheral nervous system is consisted of or consists of what? The cranial and the spinal nerves. Correct. Neurons only. Now we continue. The opening through which light enters the eye is called the pupil. Thank you very much for people that are listening. The cornea is not the opening. The cornea is just the disc that is in front of the eye. You understand? That's what the cornea is. The pupil is the one that controls the what do you call it? The pupil is the one that opens for light to enter. Then the iris controls the movement of the pupil, whether it increases or it dilates in that way, contracts or dilates. So we see the receptor cell for hearing are located where? In the cochlea. I like people that are listening in class. People that are listening in class. If you listen in class, clap for yourself, please. So we see the what do you call it? The receptor cells are located. It is when it enters into the cochlea that is now transmitted as electric impulses. You understand? In this image here, that's why I always like attaching images to my what do you call it? If you answer that wrong, it just showed that you were not listening in class. So we see in this place here, we see the seventh cranial nerves and the eighth cranial nerve are attached to the what? To the cochlea in this place here. The cochlea is the inner ear, and that's where hearing takes place. And why does it take place there? It's because of what? That is where the neurons are. The motor neurons and the what? And the sensory neuron. The sensory neuron is the seventh cranial nerve that transfers it into the what they call it, into the brain. And the eighth one is the one that now brings it back, which is the what? Which is the motor neuron. We talked about that. So yeah, we continue. So the taste receptors are found where? On the tongue. Yeah, everybody will get that one. Balance in humans is maintained in the what? Semicircular canals. I said there are endolymph present inside. The endolymph is present inside and helps you to what? Maintain your balance. So the optic nerve connects the eye to the brain. Thank you very much. So the what you call that nerve there is part of the peripheral nerve. You understand? It is not the CNS. You get it's not the control central nervous system, because central nervous system is just brain and spinal cord. What connects part of the body to the brain is what we call the peripheral nervous system or to the spinal cord. So now we see somebody said cerebellum again. So we continue because cerebellum is used for seeing. All right. So we see the structure can be found where I think there was an image that was present here that I put there. I can't see the image. Yeah. So the image there, I believe you guys could see the image, right? The image that are attached to that place. So it is present in both the peripheral and the central nervous system because it is a nerve cell. And nerve cells are the ones that form nervous system. So you hear the word nervous system. Nervous system is made of neurons. You understand? That image there is telling you that Where do we find neurons? Neurons are found in the central nervous system and the peripheral nervous system. Thank you very much. So that's the you that choose just peripheral nervous system. I think many people feel that. So we see what is the name of the labeled part. Somebody choose myelin sheath. The part that was labeled in that image was axon. And if I remember very well, it is the accent that was labeled in that place here. I think, yes, man, it should be here. 21, yes. The part that was labeled here, if it was these donut looking guys that were labeled, that there is the myelin sheath. Understand? So we continue. Excuse me. Uh, excuse me. Okay. Okay, so that's the axon. So which organ detects smell? The organs that detect smell is your what? Your nose. It has the touch receptors are found in the skin. The effectors in a reflex action may be what? Muscles or gland. Effectors, not receptors. Receptors take in the information. Effectors actualize the responses. You understand? They are the output system in that place there. So now the medulla oblongata controls your what? Autonomous nervous system. Which part of it is what? Your breathing. So the notes of the Ranvier, what do you call it? Help import. I mentioned this very well. I said your note of your Ranvier helps for what? For jumping conduction. You understand? So electrons jump from one neuron to another neuron at the node of the Ranvier, because some of them is not just one neuron that you have there. You have like multiple neurons present. So one can move to another one through electric, what do you call it? Electron excitement. So so we continue. And some people are Christ. Excuse me. I don't know what's going on here. Christ. Okay, so we continue here. The retina contains rods and cones. We talked about the cells of the neuron cells that are present inside. They are divided into two. The rod, which helps to dim the image, while the cones, which gives it colors. That's it. So we now see the blinking of the eye is mainly a what? A reflex action. You get so impulse transmission across the neuron is done at the what? At the synapse. The synapse is there. So from this place here, we are what do you call it? Uh, we have reached the end of the class. Those of you that did well and those of you that didn't do well, you actually know where you should do your corrections like this now at this point. Most of the time, it's not based on leaderboard. See, I'm not the type of person to emphasize who is the best in the class or who is the worst. You understand? Anybody can be the best. Anybody can be the worst. Not my concern. I'm concerned with you guys is that you guys have enough what they call understanding for you guys to be able to actualize all these things when you get into exam. You get so that when you get there, it doesn't just stay at you and you're not staring at the screen. So with this, we have come to the end of the class. It's nice teaching you guys again. So till the next class, we'll see each other again. Good night. Bye guys.